Hi, I'm Priya, Senior Vice President for Pharma Solutions at VSMSoftware. VSM's Kea suite has a wide array of software products and solutions for sales and marketing functions for the global pharma industry. In conversation with me is Krish, who is the CEO of VSM. Krish is an MBA from the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Krish, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. After I graduated from IIM, I had an opportunity to work in different industries in senior positions and also in multiple countries before founding our own company, VSMSoftware. One of our main focus areas at VSM is SaaS solutions for sales and marketing functions under the banner of Kea for the global pharma industry. It has been an exciting journey, and we now have customers in over 10 countries.
Thanks. It's exciting to record our second episode on this topic. In the last episode, we discussed the difference between omni channel and multi channel marketing and also how it is important to do the basics right. That is, plan, execute, and monitor. Today, I would like to touch on the actual implementation mechanics.
Sure.
As you know, our pharma colleagues in the field make a call plan where they decide which HCP to be met on which date of the month. How can omni-channel be incorporated in this?
Yeah, this is an extremely important aspect. It'll take me a while, but let me try and explain this. Pharma companies that plan to execute omni-channel in the field must do their field effort planning keeping in mind the channel mix. That's the first step. For the sake of this discussion, I'll take just 3 channels: face-to-face, virtual detailing, and emails. First step is to measure the effectiveness of each channel. This can be done in 2 possible ways. I'm sure you can guess what I'm talking about. One method that is by now in practice in some countries is to measure the effectiveness by measuring the outcome of the effort put in on a channel. Typically, for a group of HCPs, one can correlate, for example, the incremental RX or sales that can be attributed to a channel in a time window. But this is possible only in countries where data is available in a granular manner. In many countries, it's not. For example, if through statistical analysis it's derived that face-to-face generates delta of 1x sales, virtual detailing only 0.5x, and emails 0.3x, these are the typical weightages that can be assigned for each channel.
Interesting how the industry has evolved. But what if the sales data or prescription data is not available in such granularity?
Yes, that's more than likely. In many countries, RX and sales data are just not available at a rep or territory level. That's when companies have to resort to response to a call. This response can be measured by taking many factors into account. Some of the typical response indicators would be duration of a call, number of slides seen or heard by the doctor, time spent on each slide, and the likelihood of brand adoption. By measuring these across channels, we can plot the response and again arrive at weightages for effectiveness. There is an inbuilt assumption here that better the response, higher the delta in RX or sales. In both the methods above, companies typically arrive at call equivalence weightages with face-to-face calls taken as a benchmark of 1.
Beautiful explanation, Krish. Once these weights are arrived at, how do we formulate an omni call plan for a period?
There's no one answer to this. This is why companies have to develop their own methodology based on channels, their measured effectiveness, total time available for a field rep, number of HCPs in his or her list, and unproductive time in, for example, waiting or travel from one location to another. Broad idea will be to maximize the equalized calls for his group of doctors. What do I mean by equalized calls? Equalized calls are absolute number into call equivalence weightage. Of course, that does not mean that we drop face-to-face totally and do only alternate channels. One has to be careful in this analysis and planning. This can be complex. My take would be that you target a predetermined increase in productivity over a plan that has only face-to-face. This will probably make the computations practical.
Is this exercise to be done for each HCP?
No, I think that will be impossible to handle. We have to find some common denominator. Maybe this can be by therapeutic area. For example, let's say all ophthalmologists get assigned the same weightage. Having arrived at the total number of equalized calls, there are two more steps in the call plan making. Assign the equalized calls over the HCP list for a rep and convert the equalized calls back to normal numbers for each channel for execution. Not normal, nominal numbers, that is absolute numbers.
Since we are talking about omni-channel and perhaps unified messaging, do we need to look at channel combinations rather than individually?
Yes, that's the other complication. The plan will have to perhaps cover a combination such as face-to-face plus other channels as a combined effort for detailing each brand planned for detailing. So you actually plan combinations rather than individual channel types. That's a distinct possibility. It is done in the industry.
I think call plan development is now clearer. How do we communicate this to the field?
Firstly, this call plan has to be a co-creation between the field rep, line manager, and brand manager. At least these three. Brand manager will play the role of converting brand objectives in a geography into an executable plan. Once it's co-created, typically the CRM tool can carry this plan and can be used to capture the plan in all its totality. The plan will typically have for each HCP absolute call numbers, brands, what content, channel mode, ideal duration to spend on a call, and a statement of objectives for the brand.
That is very interesting. Does this have to be done HCP by HCP?
Instead of doing this for each HCP, to keep this simpler, we can do this for a defined cluster and apply the plan to all HCPs in that cluster. It's worth noting that this plan will definitely carry much more data than your traditional number of calls based plan. Field reps will need training to be able to develop a good plan when it comes to omnichannel. Actual plan preparation is ideally done on a CRM tool. That is, if the tool has the capability to make a plan or an external plugin tool developed for this.
Great. Thanks, Krish, for all the insights given. Looking forward to our next podcast. Thank you, and thanks to all our listeners.